The House of Representatives is voting on impeachment today, and I just want to warn you guys, it's more of the same. A lot of the same arguments are regurgitated over and over again. However, on the eve of the impeachment vote, Donald Trump wanted to make his thoughts on this impeachment process known in an official fashion, and so he sent a letter to Nancy Pelosi. And as one can expect, he says Trump-like things that would be deemed insane under any other president, but this is Trump, so it's normalized. I'm gonna read you the relevant excerpts and we'll respond to them or make fun of him. So first he says, this impeachment represents an unprecedented and unconstitutional abuse of power by Democrat lawmakers, unequaled in nearly 2.5 centuries of American legislative history.
Well, first of all, it's not unprecedented because 2 other presidents have been impeached. Second of all, it's not unconstitutional because impeachment is in the Constitution.
Yes, that's exactly right. And it's interesting that he uses the phrase abuse of power because that happens to be one of the articles of impeachment against him.
It's also interesting that, like a child, he keeps saying, I'm rubber and you're glue. Right. So he says it throughout the letter. He said it throughout his career. That's what unintelligent people say, or to be fair, little kids, when they don't have a good comeback. They're like, oh yeah, you did abuse of power.
Let me give you more. The articles of impeachment introduced by the House Judiciary Committee are not recognizable under any standard of constitutional theory, interpretation, or jurisprudence. They include no crimes, no misdemeanors, and no offenses whatsoever. You have cheapened the importance of the very ugly word impeachment.
Make up your mind. Is it an ugly word or is it super important? He's such a goofball. This is how you know he wrote the letter.
Sort of. I mean,
no. I guarantee you. Look, I don't guarantee it. I'm speculating as to how the letter got written. But knowing Trump and knowing his team, my guess is what happened was his team wrote the letter because it has words he does not know in it,
including. It's not just the words; it's the phrasing. Like, constitutional theory he has never uttered those words together.
No way. Constitutional theory. What name so?
And okay. Jurisprudence?
No chance. No chance that Donald Trump has ever said that. Okay, now I'm exaggerating, but not by much. But that you have cheapened the very ugly word of impeachment is such a Trump thing. Everybody knows that's Trump. So my guess is his guys wrote it and then he edited. Not good enough. I don't know what jurisprudence means, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add something people understand. You've cheapened the very ugly word impeachment.
Yes.
How could you cheapen a really ugly word?
Yeah, the exclamation marks are certainly his touch. It's his touch, it's what he does. So by proceeding with your invalid impeachment, you are violating your oaths of office, you are breaking your allegiance to the Constitution, and you are declaring open war on American democracy. Now, I want to respond substantively to this. Look, if this were simply a partisan effort to oust Donald Trump and he had done nothing wrong, believe it or not, I would defend him because that would be wrong and you don't want to set that precedent. The reason why this impeachment process is incredibly important is because he asked a foreign government to, I keep saying dig up dirt on his political rival, Joe Biden, but in reality, he didn't even want Vladimir Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, to do the investigation. He didn't really care about the investigation. What Trump wanted was the optics of the investigation. He wanted the announcement of the investigation to hurt his political rival, Joe Biden. And at the time, and honestly, in a lot of these polls currently, Joe Biden is leading in the Democratic race, right? And so, yes, he is 100% Trump's political rival. That's why he was hyper-focused on Biden. What's frustrating to me about Democrats is that during these proceedings, they haven't brought up the fact that on camera, Donald Trump urged the leader of China to investigate Biden and Elizabeth Warren, who were the 2 frontrunners at the time. Come on, guys, wakey, wakey.
And investigate Elizabeth Warren for nothing in particular.
Right.
He's so obvious and praise God, the Democrats. Anyway, but look, let's concentrate on Trump here. I want to just repeat everything here because it's textbook projection. You're violating your oath of office. He's charged with violating his oath of office, abusing his power. You're breaking your allegiance to the Constitution. Instead of protecting American national security interests, he looked for his own personal interests, violating the Constitution, and you're declaring open war on American democracy. I don't know any statement that describes Donald Trump better than declaring open war on American democracy. Just does not believe that the Justice Department should serve the American people. He thinks it should serve him. He is looking to get rid of voters that might not vote for him. He did that through Chris Kobach, and we can go on and on. A violation of the law and procedure and the Constitution repeatedly. That is the #1 concern about Donald Trump right now, is that he just does not value American democracy, does not believe in it. And he keeps saying, well, dictators in other countries, when in North Korea, when he says something, everybody stands up and applauds. It should be like that here. No, it shouldn't be like a dictatorship here in America. So here we go again. I'm rubber, you're glue. Every one of these things is I'm rubber, you're glue. In reality, this describes him to a T.
So let me give you more. And by the way, this was 6 pages of Trump ranting. So I know there's a lot that I'm sharing with you here, but you should read the full letter so you can kind of get the gist, the full scope of his insanity. He also writes, even worse than offending the founding fathers, you are offending Americans of faith by continually saying you pray for the president when you know this statement is not true, unless it is meant in a negative sense. He totally wrote that. Yeah, and by the way, he's right about that part.
Oh, thank you. I was gonna say the same thing. That's actually the one thing he's right about. Like when Nancy Pelosi comes in, she's like, I am praying for the president. Oh, come on, okay. Nobody believes that,
right.
Okay. But it's also childish of Trump to be like, unless you mean it in a negative sense. Okay, whatever. And she's not offending people of faith. She's offending anyone who is put off by obvious political theater.
I only included this next sentence because it made me laugh out loud at my desk. It's the phrasing, it's the way he phrased this. It is a terrible thing you are doing, but you will have to live with it, not I. Come on, not I.
Just this mentality is this big, man. He's just, my God. Anyway, look, Anna and I started the show by talking about this. Like, in a sense, there's no news here because this is the normal madness of Donald Trump, the Mad King, right? On the other hand, if any other president had said one of these lines, it would have been the biggest scandal in his presidency. So I'm gonna get to one a little bit later that I would have ended Obama's presidency. But we're so used to the president being insane that everybody's like, oh right, he wrote an insane letter, okay, now let's move on. Like, because that's what happens, because it's Tuesday, or in this case, Wednesday.
Right. He also says you are turning a policy disagreement between 2 branches of government into an impeachable offense. Now, what he's referring to there is the military aid, which Congress, which of course includes Republicans, this is a bipartisan effort, appropriated for Ukraine. He held that military aid up, and he claimed that the reason why he was doing so was because he wanted to investigate corruption within Ukraine. But the problem here is he fired the ambassador to Ukraine who was actually fighting corruption in Ukraine, right? So that was Marie Yovanovitch. It was all complete and utter BS, right? Like he doesn't care about corruption. That is not what he was concerned about. What he was more concerned about than anything else was the announcement of the investigation into his political rival, Joe Biden. Let me give you more. You view democracy as your enemy. That's hilarious.
Okay, again, projection. They're gonna study this guy in psychological textbooks.
So I'm gonna bring up a story, reference a story that we did yesterday and talk about the real assault on democracy in America right now. In both Georgia and Wisconsin, Republican lawmakers have purged the voter rolls. And oh, what a surprise. Most of the people who have been purged from the polls are likely to vote for Democrats. So that is a real violation of our democratic process, but the GOP doesn't care about that. And by the way, if I were a Democratic lawmaker, I would be hyper-focused on that. I would make a big stink about that every day. If Republicans were victimized that way by Democrats, they would make a big stink about it. They wouldn't let it go. But Democrats, they let it go, and this happens all the time now. Every time there's a big election coming up, voters get purged from the polls. Democrats do nothing about it.
That one is among the quotes that I was referring to. There's others. You're the ones interfering in America's elections. You're the ones subverting America's democracy. Here we go again. I'm rubber, you're glue. Nonsense. But you view democracy as your enemy. This is an illegal partisan attempted coup. So if Obama had written any of this to a Republican Speaker of the House, just out of the blue, like if they had, not out of the blue, but like when they did their 9th investigation of Benghazi, and if he said, witch hunt, it's a hoax, it's fake news, okay, it's an attempted coup.
Not I.
Yeah, no, it is the one, you are the one doing it, you bad person, not I, okay. Any of this, we'd have been like, okay, well, I guess Obama's got to go, and the Democrats would have stepped in and said it's becoming a distraction. Biden's good enough as vice president to move on. Like this is, the emperor has no clothes, but we got used to it. Oh yeah, the emperor's walking around naked. A total raving lunatic madman. Thanks for watching the Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.